You felt it before you even pressed play. That quiet tug in your chest, that gentle, persistent whisper deep within your spirit saying, "Pay attention. This moment matters. This isn't coincidence. This isn't just another video passing through your day. Somehow, in a way you may not fully understand yet, you were guided here right now to these very words. As it is written in the Bible, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37-23. That means this moment was not random. Heaven itself has gently interrupted your routine for a reason far greater than you realize. And even if you're unsure, even if doubt lingers in your mind, something within you already knows. Your life is shifting. Before you scroll away, before you dismiss this feeling, pause for just a second. Breathe. Notice what's happening inside you. That tightness in your throat, the warmth in your chest, the quiet stirring in your soul. That's not by accident. That's recognition, because your spirit can sense truth long before your mind can explain it. You've walked through confusion, through delays that made no sense, through silence that felt like abandonment. But hear this clearly, none of it was wasted. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. What felt like chaos was actually preparation. What felt like loss was positioning. And what you're about to receive is not just encouragement, it's revelation. So stay with me until the very end, because there is a prayer waiting for you, a prayer for strength, for grace, for clarity in this exact season of your life. And right now, if you feel ready, if something in your heart is saying yes, I invite you to type Amen in the comments below. Let it be your declaration that you are ready to step into what God has prepared for you. Like this video, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And to every soul who has ever paused, prayed, or simply believed you are seen, your journey matters. Now stay here, because Thursday is coming. And when it arrives, everything will begin to make sense. Chosen one, there are chapters of your life that no one else has ever truly seen. You learned how to carry pain quietly, how to keep showing up even when your heart felt heavy, how to smile in rooms where no one could read the story behind your eyes. You endured being misunderstood, misjudged, and sometimes completely overlooked. There were nights when the world was asleep, yet you lay awake, staring into the darkness, holding questions you didn't know how to ask out loud. You wondered if your prayers were reaching anywhere, if your tears meant anything, if your struggle was invisible not just to people but to God. But listen closely. Heaven has never been silent in the way you thought. What felt like absence was often protection. What felt like delay was careful design. Scripture tells us in Exodus 3 that Moses spent years in the wilderness before encountering the burning bush. Those hidden years were not wasted. They were preparation for a calling that would change history. In the same way, your unseen seasons have been shaping you in ways you could not yet recognize. Every moment you thought was forgotten has been held with intention. In 1 Samuel 1, Hannah wept bitterly before the Lord, misunderstood even by those around her. Yet her silent anguish gave birth to purpose through the life of Samuel. Your pain has not been pointless. It has been forming depth, sensitivity, and awareness that cannot be taught any other way. You have always sensed that you perceive life differently. Since you were young, you noticed things others overlooked. You felt atmospheres shift before anyone spoke. You carried emotions that didn't seem to belong to you, as if your heart was tuned to something deeper than surface reality. People may have called you too much, too intense, too sensitive, but what they fail to understand is that you were created with spiritual awareness. That is not a flaw. That is discernment. When others saw what was obvious, you sensed what was hidden. When others listened to words, you felt the truth behind them, like the prophet Elisha in 2 Kings 6, who could perceive what others could not see. You have been given a different kind of vision, and that kind of calling is never paired with an easy path. Depth requires stretching. Awareness requires refinement. Even when you felt dim, something within you never went out. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world." Light does not stop being light just because it passes through darkness. In fact, it becomes more visible because of it. There were moments you believed you had lost your strength, but in truth, your light was learning how to endure. The resistance you faced was not random. In Job 1, we see that even before Job understood his suffering, there was a deeper spiritual reality at work. The challenges you've encountered were not proof of your weakness, they were evidence of your significance. What carries purpose often faces pressure, and now something is shifting, not in chaos, but in alignment. What once felt scattered will begin to make sense, like Joseph in Genesis 50-20, who looked back and said, "What was meant for evil, God used for good." You will begin to see how every piece connects. Timing has always been precise, even when it felt slow. Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us that God makes everything beautiful in its time, not early, not late, but exactly when it is meant to unfold. What is coming is not about a single day on a calendar, but about a moment of readiness. A moment where everything within you has been prepared to receive what once would have overwhelmed you. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. From the outside, nothing seems to happen, but beneath the surface, life is forming, strength is growing, and roots are reaching deeper than what is visible. And then, one day, it breaks through not by accident, but because the process is complete. You are closer to that moment than you realize. What has been quietly forming in the hidden places of your life is not lost, forgotten, or insignificant. It is rising. What grew in silence is preparing to step into the light, and when it does, the story will become clear not just to you, but to those who once questioned your journey. What looked like delay will reveal itself as careful construction. What felt like denial will be understood as necessary development. There are seasons in life where nothing seems to move, where prayers appear unanswered, where progress feels invisible. Yet beneath that stillness, something sacred is taking shape. Like David, who was anointed king long before he ever wore a crown in 1 Samuel 16, you have been carrying a calling long before the world could recognize it. From the very beginning, there has always been something within you that refused to settle for the ordinary. Even as a child, there were moments when you sensed that life held more than what you could see. You may remember sitting alone, lost in thought, feeling a quiet pull towards something you couldn't yet define. While others were content with surface-level experiences, you felt drawn toward meaning, depth, and truth. In your teenage years, that feeling only grew stronger. You questioned things others accepted without thought. You searched for purpose while others chased approval. And as you stepped into adulthood, even achievements that looked successful on the outside sometimes left you feeling unfulfilled, because deep down, you knew you were made for something more. People may have misunderstood that feeling. They may have called it restlessness, dissatisfaction, or even ingratitude. But what they could not see was that this hunger was not a flaw, it was a signal. In Ecclesiastes 3:11, it says that God has set eternity in the human heart. That longing you carry is evidence that your life was designed to reach beyond what is temporary. You were never meant to simply exist within the limits of what is comfortable or familiar. You were created with intention, with precision, with a purpose that disrupts cycles and brings light into places that have grown used to darkness. There is a reason you have often felt like you didn't fully belong. It is not because something is wrong with you, it is because you were not designed to blend in. Consider Daniel in Daniel 1. Even in a foreign land, surrounded by a culture that pressured him to conform, he chose to remain set apart. That distinction became the very thing that elevated him. In the same way, the parts of you that others struggled to understand are the very qualities that set you apart for impact. You were not created to echo what has already been said. You were created to carry something original, something necessary, something that speaks to places others cannot reach. There were times you felt unseen, overlooked, even undervalued. People misread your depth as distance, your quietness as disinterest, your discernment as judgment. They could not understand why certain environments drained you, why certain conversations felt empty, why you chose to step back when others leaned in. But what you were sensing was real. In Acts 16, Paul discerned the spirit behind what others accepted at face value. Discernment often isolates before it clarifies. It separates you before it positions you. Every rejection you experienced carried direction within it. Every closed door was not simply a loss, but a redirection away from something that could not hold your future. Think of Paul again in Acts 16 to 6 to 7, when he was prevented from entering certain regions. At the time, it may have seemed confusing, even frustrating, but that redirection led him exactly where he needed to be. In the same way, the paths that did not open for you were not mistakes, they were protection. The relationships that ended, painful as they were, created space for something more aligned. The opportunities that slipped away were not meant to sustain the life you are being prepared to live. You have asked difficult questions. Why has your path required so much endurance? Why does progress feel like a struggle when others seem to move forward effortlessly? Why do your prayers sometimes feel like they disappear into silence? These questions are not signs of weakness, they are signs of depth. And within them is a truth that is not always easy to accept. The weight of your calling shapes the intensity of your process. In Luke 12:48, it says, "To whom much is given, much will be required." The path that builds strength is rarely the easiest one. Hardship has been refining you, not defining you. Like gold refined in fire, as described in Zechariah 13:9, pressure has been removing what cannot remain, so that what is true can endure. There is a strength forming within you that cannot be shaken by circumstances, because it was built through them. The resilience you carry now did not come easily, but it came with purpose. There were moments when the weight felt unbearable, times when discouragement, anxiety, or even isolation seemed to close in around you. You faced battles that others could not see or understand. Yet somehow, you are still here. That alone carries meaning. In 2 Corinthians 4:8-9, it says, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, struck down, but not destroyed." That is your story, not untouched, not unscarred, but still standing. Your life did not begin at random. Before any human plan, before any visible beginning, there was already intention. As written in Psalm 139:13, 1:6, every detail of your being was known and formed with care. Your existence carries purpose that existed before your awareness of it. You are not here by accident, and you are not here just to endure life quietly. You are here to bring light, to shift atmospheres, to live in a way that reflects something greater than yourself. Even the parts of your story that feel broken have meaning. Consider Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times in Luke 22. That moment could have defined him as a failure. Yet in John 21, he was restored and entrusted with responsibility. His failure did not disqualify him. It prepared him to lead with humility and understanding. In the same way, your mistakes have not erased your purpose. They have shaped your perspective, deepened your compassion, and strengthened your discernment. Nothing you have lived through has been wasted. Every lesson, every loss, every quiet victory has been shaping you into someone who can carry what is coming next. The parts of your story that once felt like endings are becoming foundations. The pain that once felt like defeat is becoming a source of strength. And the experiences that nearly broke you are becoming the very things that will allow you to help others stand. You are moving into a season where things begin to come into focus, where what once felt scattered starts to form a clear picture, where understanding replaces confusion. This is not about sudden change without preparation. It is about the unveiling of what has been developing all along. Just as Jesus spent years in obscurity before stepping into public ministry in Luke 3, there are seasons where growth happens quietly before it becomes visible. You are not waiting for purpose to find you. You are growing into the awareness of what has already been placed within you. The timing you once questioned is aligning with the readiness you now carry. And what lies ahead is not something foreign. It is something that has been forming within you all along, waiting for the moment when you are ready to step into it fully. Can you feel the shift lately? The tension in your thoughts, the restlessness that seems to rise without warning, the way your mind has been pulled in 100 directions at once. This is not random. There is a deeper reason behind the intensity you've been experiencing. Your attention holds weight far beyond what is visible, and because of that, it has become a target. When something carries purpose, it often attracts resistance. Not to destroy it, because what God has established cannot be undone, but to distract it, to fragment it, to weaken its focus. Think about how subtle it has been, not always through obvious hardship, but through noise, endless noise, small frustrations that pile up until they feel overwhelming, conversations that drain you, unexpected pressures that seem to arrive all at once, even moments where you feel disconnected from your own sense of clarity. It's as if everything around you has been competing for your attention, pulling you away from stillness. In Luke 10:41-42, When Martha was overwhelmed by many things, Jesus gently reminded her that only one thing was truly needed. That message still speaks now. Not everything demanding your attention deserves your focus. There is a reason the noise increases when something meaningful is near. In Mark 4:37, when Jesus and his disciples were crossing the sea, a violent storm suddenly arose. The timing was not accidental. Storms often appear when you are moving toward something significant. And yet, in the middle of that chaos, Jesus remained at peace. That kind of stillness is not weakness, it is authority. When you learn to remain grounded in truth while everything around you feels unstable, you step into a strength that darkness cannot easily disrupt. What you've been facing lately, the emotional exhaustion, the sudden conflicts, the strange delays, these are not isolated events. They are patterns, and patterns reveal intention. Right before something shifts, there is often an increase in pressure. Right before clarity comes, confusion tends to rise. It's not because you're losing your way, it's because you are getting closer to seeing clearly. In 1 Kings 19, Elijah reached a point of deep exhaustion and despair, even after experiencing great victory. But it was not in the wind, the earthquake, or the fire that God spoke. It was in a gentle whisper. That is where clarity lives, not in chaos, but in quiet. This is why your peace matters so much. It is not just a feeling, it is protection. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." Peace stabilizes you. It sharpens your awareness. It allows you to discern what is real and what is simply noise. When your mind is unsettled, everything feels urgent. But when your spirit is steady, you begin to see clearly again. You may have noticed how certain distractions seem unusually persistent. That's not without reason. Distraction often points directly to what matters most. The very areas where your focus is being pulled away are often the areas where your strength is needed. In Nehemiah 6:3, when Nehemiah was rebuilding the wall, he was repeatedly invited to step away from his work. His response was simple: "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down." That clarity protected his purpose. In the same way, you are being invited to recognize what is trying to pull you away from what truly matters. This is not about fighting people or circumstances. The struggle is deeper than what can be seen on the surface. As written in 2 Corinthians 10:5, we are called to take every thought captive and bring it into alignment with truth. The real battle is often in the mind, in what you believe, in what you focus on, in what you allow to take root within you. And yet, you are not facing this empty-handed. There is strength within you that did not originate from your circumstances. It has carried you through moments you once thought you would not survive. It has held you steady when everything else felt uncertain. In Psalm 18:32, it says, "It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my way secure." That strength is still present. It has not left you. It is being called forward now, not in panic, but in awareness. So pull back from the noise. Not everything needs your reaction. Not everything deserves your energy. Return to stillness, even if only for a moment. Breathe, refocus. Let truth settle deeper than fear. Because the closer you move toward what you are meant to step into, the more important it becomes to guard what is within you. What you are feeling is not the sign of something falling apart. It is the sign of something aligning. There are moments in life when something deeper than words begins to stir within you. Not just a passing emotion, not just inspiration that fades by morning, but a quiet awakening that settles into your spirit and refuses to leave. What you are encountering now is not meant to be consumed and forgotten. It is meant to take root. It is meant to stay with you, to grow within you, to shift how you see yourself and the path ahead. Because this journey you are on has never been ordinary, and neither is what is unfolding in you right now. There is a reason why, even in your lowest moments, something inside you refused to completely give up. You may have felt broken, exhausted, even close to the edge, but there was always a thread of strength that held. That thread was not accidental. In Lamentations 3:22-3, it says that His mercies are new every morning. That means even in the darkest night, there was already provision for your survival waiting at sunrise. You were never as alone as it felt. Even when you could not see it, something greater was sustaining you, carrying you through moments you did not have the strength to carry yourself. And what you've walked through has not been small. There have been seasons where you questioned everything, your direction, your purpose, even your worth. There were times when the silence felt heavier than the struggle itself. But even in that silence, something was being formed. In Hosea 2:14, God speaks of leading His people into the wilderness, not to abandon them, but to speak tenderly to them. The wilderness is not always a place of loss. Sometimes it is where clarity is born. You have been shaped in those hidden places, not in comfort, but in challenge, not in ease, but in endurance. Think of Esther in Esther 4:14, who came into her position for such a time as this. Her preparation was not visible to the world. It happened quietly, behind the scenes, in a process that likely felt uncertain at times. Yet when the moment came, she was ready not because it was easy, but because she had been prepared. In the same way, your life has been moving toward alignment, even when it felt like delay. The trials you faced were not meant to destroy you. They were refining you. In Isaiah 48:10, it says, "I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." That image is not meant to intimidate. It is meant to reveal value. Refining only happens to what is precious. The process removes what cannot remain so that what is true can shine clearly. You have been in that process. The pressure you felt, the heat of difficult seasons, the moments when everything seemed uncertain, none of it was without purpose. Like gold in fire, what was unnecessary has been stripped away, leaving behind something stronger, something purer, something that cannot be easily shaken. And even when it felt like too much, there was always a limit to what you would face. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, it reminds us that you are never tested beyond what you can bear. There has always been a boundary, even when you could not see it. What is changing now is not just your circumstances, it is your understanding. You are beginning to see differently. Where there was once confusion, there is now awareness. Where there was once doubt, there is now a quiet confidence growing. It does not need to be loud to be real. In fact, the deepest transformations are often the quietest. They happen within, long before they appear on the outside. You are stepping into a new way of carrying your life, not with constant striving, but with steadiness, not with fear, but with trust. In Colossians 2-7, it speaks of being rooted and built up, established in faith. That is what is happening within you. You are becoming grounded in a way that circumstances cannot easily shake. And because of that, your perspective is shifting. You are no longer reacting to everything around you in the same way. You are beginning to pause, to discern, to choose your response rather than being controlled by emotion. That is growth, that is strength, that is maturity taking shape. Even your past is beginning to look different through this new lens. The things that once felt like failures now reveal lessons. The moments that once felt like endings now look more like redirections. In Joel 2:25, there is a promise of restoration, that what was lost can be returned in ways you did not expect. That does not always mean things go back to how they were. It often means they become something better than they were. You are not the same person who started this journey. There is a depth in you now that did not exist before, a resilience that has been earned, a wisdom that has been lived, not just learned. And with that comes a quiet authority not over others, but over your own life. You are no longer easily shaken by things that once would have overwhelmed you. This is what transformation looks like. Not a sudden, dramatic moment, but a steady unfolding, a becoming. In Proverbs 4:18, it says that the path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter until the full light of day. That is your path, not instant perfection, but continual growth. Not sudden arrival, but ongoing becoming. And as you move forward, there is a new sense of calm within you, not because everything around you is perfect, but because something within you has changed. You have learned to trust, even when you cannot see the full picture. You have learned that timing cannot be rushed, and that what is meant for you will not pass you by. The weight you once felt now rests differently. It is no longer a burden you are fighting against, but something you are learning to carry with grace. Every scar you carry tells a story not of defeat, but of endurance, not of weakness, but of survival. And those stories hold power, not just for you, but for the lives you will touch along the way. As it says in Ephesians 2:10, you are created for good works that were prepared in advance for you to walk in. That means your life is not random, it is intentional. Every step, even the difficult ones, has been part of a greater design. You are not chasing something distant. You are growing into something that has been within you all along. And what lies ahead is not something you have to force. It is something you will step into with clarity, with strength, and with a deeper understanding of who you are becoming. Chosen one, take a deep breath and let it settle deep within you. You have come to the end of these words, but something inside you recognizes that this is not an ending at all. It is the quiet beginning of something new, something steady, something real. You have walked through layers of truth, faced parts of yourself that once felt uncertain, and remained standing in the space between what was promised and what is now unfolding. None of this has been accidental. Every moment, every challenge, every pause along the way has been shaping you into who you are becoming. As it is written in Philippians 1-6, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. That means your story is still in motion, still being written with intention, still guided by a hand that has never left you. Look at how far you have come. There was a time when confusion filled your mind, when the path ahead felt unclear and overwhelming. Yet now, there is a growing sense of direction within you. The pain that once felt unbearable has not disappeared, but it has transformed. It has become strength, awareness, and depth that cannot be taken from you. You are living evidence that timing beyond your control can still be perfect. What is established by heaven cannot be undone by circumstances on earth. As it says in Isaiah 43:19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? That new thing is already beginning within you. And now, let this moment become still. Let it become personal. Take a breath again, and if you can, receive this prayer. Heavenly Father, I lift up the one listening right now. You see every part of their journey, every hidden struggle, every quiet victory. You know the weight they have carried and the strength it took to keep going. I ask that you fill their heart with peace that steadies their thoughts and calms every fear. Renew their mind with truth when doubt tries to return. Give them clarity in moments of uncertainty and strength in moments that require endurance. Let them feel your presence not as something distant, but as something near, constant, and real. Guide their steps in the days ahead and remind them that they do not walk alone. As written in Psalm 32:8, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. Let that promise become alive in their life. Help them choose stillness over chaos, truth over fear, and faith over doubt in their daily decisions. May their life reflect light, even in the smallest actions, and may they continue to grow into everything you have placed within them. Amen. As you move forward from this moment, carry something simple with you into your daily life. Take time to pause, even briefly, and return to stillness when everything feels overwhelming. Guard what you allow into your mind, because what you focus on shapes how you live. And choose actions that align with peace, even when pressure tries to rush you. These small, quiet decisions will guide you more than you realize. This is not just a message you heard. It is something you are stepping into. And if this journey has spoken to you, take that next step. Subscribe to the channel so you can continue walking this path with clarity and purpose. And leave a comment below with the words, I receive this new beginning, as your way of acknowledging what is already unfolding within you.